Round one. Fight.
All right, welcome to another episode of the online experience. In this one, we're going to be looking at, of course, Tekken 8, as you see on the screen. And this is going to be showcasing just what it looks like to go online with Tekken 8. So if you're brand new to Tekken 8, or if you just want to hear the numbers of how many in 1 hour's time on a random day, at a random hour, how many matches, whether they're Wi-Fi, wired, good or bad, we're going to get into all of that. And also I'm going to go into just what the online experience actually offers and such. So let's get into it. First up in the notes was, if you notice the promotional bonus, the chance right there and everything, Strategist ends I think it's a first dan, second dan, something like that on the ranks. There we go. That's the word I'm looking for. So yeah, we are very low ranks, and for some reason, low ranks, the game's been out for a while now, and there is still people in very low ranks. Are they Smurf accounts? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But it just seemed like, for me, I don't know. It just really felt like people having such good combos when they are so low ranked, it's a little suspicious. Usually when you're in lower ranks, you end up having people that they are either just slamming on buttons and just, throwing caution to the wind, or maybe they're using easy combos, which we'll get into that a little bit later on. But yeah, it just seemed very fishy to me on some of these matchups where it's just like they just know 12-string combos. They know how to juggle you. And this is Tekken. Tekken, it's a little bit harder to juggle sometimes with certain characters. Some other characters, it's a little bit easier. It is a fighting game online after all. So yeah, is there Smurfs going on? Possibly, but this is also PC matchups, so it is a little bit easier to get online and to kind of Smurf stuff. So on that topic, let's actually jump into the easy combos stuff. So it does seem like there is a lot more people actually learning combos, and you will definitely see, kind of the same combo routes again and again for a lot of people, which is them, seeing a video online, whether it's a social media post or whether it's a YouTube video or something of like, okay, this is a very simple and easy combo that you can do. Jump into the practice mode for like 5-10 minutes, and you can use this combo to get so many wins online, something like that. You are definitely going to be encountering that, of course. Every fighting game is going to have that. But the one thing I definitely want to say is what actually made Tekken feel really, really good to jump into was that this hour right here, I think it was maybe 2 people were using easy combos. So the whole like auto combo thing, and that could be an aspect of Tekken's auto combo it doesn't give you the best optimal combos for all the characters. Some characters, it is ridiculously overpowered still because of just the fact that there's some characters that, they have very quick moves, and they can actually outpace certain other characters. Sometimes the matchup with an easy combo on, it can be really, really tough to deal with that stuff. In other times, when they use the easy combo, sometimes it's very easy. It's it's just like you're beating up the CPU, which it kind of is just that. You are going against, with any kind of an auto combo, you are essentially just playing against the CPU, but it's, human input making the CPU do the things, because really all the human input is one button press. So yeah, it's definitely an interesting one, seeing that people are kind of going in more the favor of actually learning 1 or maybe 2 strings of combos, which is great. Is awesome seeing that. The only other thing that we really need to see is people getting maybe their connection to work a little bit smoother. But on saying that, I will say one thing about matchmaking: it was very fast. I was getting match after match after match. No problem at all, and most of the matches were actually running pretty good. I'll give the stat sheet on it in a quick second. But yeah, when it came to, there was definitely still, even in this match up here that you're watching, there was still some some parts where the Wi-Fi connections were feeling a tad bit rough, or you just have some lag spikes here and there, where the match overall was feeling all right, but you'd have a couple lag spikes. Compared to Tekken 7, Tekken 8 is a breath of fresh air, especially for the online connectivity. You don't have a ton of people with really terrible internet connections. Like, when you go on Mortal Kombat, it's really rough. You go into Street Fighter, that's got some of the best probably online connection, and then I'd say Tekken is probably second on the list of like best fighting games online right now. I'd say that, like Street Fighter, Tekken, and then anything else, and then Mortal Kombat. It's just probably the player base that is really making sure that, okay, I want to have an optimal setup for this, because a lot of Tekken players also, they'll fight on fight sticks or a keyboard or something, or a hitbox, and I don't know, something about Tekken, because it's probably because the movement can be sort of a little, not stiff or limited, but you know what I'm saying. It's like it's got that kind of like 3D aspect to it, so it's not like you're kind of juggling somebody in midair, and bringing in an assist and everything else. You can juggle, but characters fall down to the ground pretty quickly, and then it just comes down to like, opening them up with a 50-50 mix-up and everything. As you can see, the back and forth run here. It's just, there's a different feeling to Tekken other than, go in there and try and ride the lag into a win. So let's also get into talking about riding the lag into a win. Let's get into the numbers. So the stat sheet. I just wrote down what ended up happening, and in all honesty, it was actually not bad. It was about probably like a 60-40 split on good versus bad connections. So good matches overall, and I'm saying good matches as in, did the match feel good to play, not whether or not it was like competition wise, because competition wise, again, like as I said, it definitely feels like some people are maybe smurfing, other people are using solid combos, but the connection wise, so within 1 hour's time, from what I wrote down, what I recorded, I had 9 good matches, and I'll say about 6.5 bad matches. And again, the half is if there's 3 rounds, having 1 round or a half a round that the connection started having lag spikes in. But 9 good ones versus 6.5 bad ones. That's a pretty good experience for an hour's time. And then 6 Wi-Fi and 6 Wi-Fi matches, or six people with Wi-Fi that showed up on the matchmaking, I should say, and 11 wired. So more wired. It is still kind of a 50-50 split there, but there was actually more wired than wireless players, which is great to see. Tekken players are actually taking the game serious. They're plugging their stuff in, although, as Harada has said, there is a major uptick in, because there is more wired players on this, there is a major uptick of what they're calling pluggers, which I guess is people either unplugging or dashboarding to save their records. That could be addressed in a later patch update and whatnot, but from what I've seen on the PC running crossplay and everything, the connection was actually pretty solid, and for the most part everybody was going all the way through their matchups. You can see there with the easy combo, people are still using easy combo to try and hit into heat mode for some reason. So again, it just, I don't know, it's kind of a weird thing of, maybe they're just finding video stuff and being like, okay, if you hit this button combination right here, you're going to get wins, because it just, I don't know, it's a weird thing of, why would you bring up easy combo if you know what you're doing to block combo strings, and then also try and get into an actual combo yourself to try and win the match, but then you need to bring up your easy combo to hit the heat, when it's literally just like 2 button presses and boom. Or not even that, you can customize it to 1 button press, because I have it on a single button on my fight stick, boom, and I go in, I hit the heat mode on there. So yeah, that's kind of a weird one there. But yeah, again, 9 good matches versus 6.5 bad matches on the connection wise. 6 Wi-Fi players versus 11 wired. I guess the next thing on top of that would be to go into what's the practice looking like. So we've talked about the player base practice. So let's go into the storefront. We definitely have some microtransaction stuff starting to creep in on Tekken 8. When the game first launched, you didn't really have too much of it, but there is microtransaction stuff that you can end up buying using Tekken coins. The Tekken coins, you have to pay real world cash to get into your inventory, if you will. And then with the Tekken coins, you can end up buying, as you can see, their avatar customizations and emotes and such. There is now a fight pass on this, battle pass, fight pass, whatever you want to say. There is a bunch of levels of stuff that you can buy now so you can buy the battle pass for one season and get enough Tekken coins to last you to going into the next fight pass and everything. That is absolutely there. You can do that. Is it worth for the fight pass? That's going to be a controversial one, because the fight pass is in the fight pass, that is separate from the season pass has all your DLC characters, but then the fight pass has all your unlockables. Yeah, so you have two different things that you have to buy in order to get all the DLC in Tekken 8, and that is where we're going to run into a little bit of controversy on all this stuff, because boy, oh boy, you're going to tell me I have to buy two separate passes just to be able to get all the content in this game. That should not be that way. The fight pass itself, man, if you're going to have DLC characters, and then you're going to also have a fight pass where you're getting unlockables, one of those should be able to be unlocked, or one of those all the stuff in the pass should be unlockable by just playing the game. So what I would say is I would have loved to have seen the characters itself. It's very similar to how Street Fighter V did its thing. Very similar to that. If you play 1,000 matches or whatever the case was, I'm just throwing a big number out there, but let's say it's 100 matches. You play 100 matches, and the way you can actually do so many matches in a row on Tekken, like 100 matches would be maybe a night or two. So 100 matches, and you end up have enough, fight cash for one character or something. Just like however that would balance out. 200 matches, whatever the case may be. That's something where you can end up earning the character. So basically, you would end up, getting the character after everyone already has learned the character, if they implemented something like that. But I feel like that would balance things out, because right now it's like you have to pay basically the same price as the game once again to end up getting all the content of the baseline game that you've already bought and paid for. That's rough. That's a bad practice. Now, I am not against DLC. I am not against battle passes, fight passes, and all that stuff. I think the fight pass can be super cool if you have brand new original content, and that's the other thing, is the fight pass does not have brand new original content. It's stuff that is recycled basically from Tekken 7. There's a handful of stuff that is brand new original stuff in there, but most, it's like half and half. Like half is like, okay, yeah, I already had that in Tekken 7. And then the other stuff is like, okay, the problem is the brand new original stuff, it's kind of just profile icons and such. And it's like, okay. There was a like leather shorts option in there, which was, I think that was brand new. I don't remember that being in Tekken 7. But yeah, that's kind of a rough one to see, that Tekken would go down that rabbit hole with things, especially when it's Bandai and all that making it. So going into microtransactions, let's talk about DLC characters, that being Eddie. So Eddie is the brand new. He's the first character to be in Tekken 8 as DLC, and in all honesty, he feels kind of pay to win. And I will 100% stand by saying that if a DLC character feels like they are a little more overpowered, which Eddie feels super overpowered compared to some of the other roster members, like probably half the roster members, Eddie can just walk all over you. That's also not to say that, so the way that the roster feels in Tekken 8, when you get your hands on with the roster, there is a definite like speed advantage that some characters can possibly have. So when you're going against Eddie Gordo, one of the things with Eddie is he is going to be dancing around you, but that's his style. I take nothing away from capoeira. Yes, it is a hard style to deal with. You have to be able to go in and practice against it, especially for anybody who is just kind of just trying to get the know-how of how to go online. If you are a beginner and you go against Eddie Gordo, you ain't going to have no idea what the hell you're doing. He is going to dance, and he is going to just spin and b-boy dance around you and knock you into next week. For me, I have fought against Eddie before in other Tekkens, and even I was sitting there like, whoa, okay, so I was having a hard time actually just like, so Eddie has a different moveset in this one, and he is like a machine gun of kicks. He just keeps going. Again, I take nothing away from it. Cool on Eddie for having, that style of a moveset and everything. But my big thing to balance this a little bit is let us at least practice against the character some. Like, let us bring Eddie into practice mode and just have, not even like in a regular match or anything, just in practice, and have him do his, his spinny kick stuff and everything, just so we can figure out how the hell to combat against it online, because this, so much of Tekken is matchup knowledge, and if the only way to get matchup knowledge is to actually have a matchup against Eddie Gordo. So when you go in there and somebody who has legacy skill on top of everything, maybe can figure out the timing of Eddie, or they are just, putting in some practice with Eddie, and you won't have any access to the character to either just see what the character, you can't even test the character yourself to see, okay, so what is the time, just to get the feel of what the hell Eddie can do. You are literally flying blind against that character. Now, Street Fighter has a 1 hour rental thing for the fighter. You can go in there and practice against them. Mortal Kombat has towers. You can go in and play as the character and get a sense of, what they're doing. Eddie, you're flying blind. Again, like Tekken has nothing for this, as far as I know. Maybe there's something in there that I just haven't seen, but yeah, if you go against an Eddie, you're pretty much going to lose your first, I'd say 3-4 matchups against them, unless the person really doesn't know what they're doing and they are just slamming buttons, hoping for something to come out and hoping for the best. If somebody is using Eddie and using easy combos, it's game over. Like, because Eddie has a different timing, he has some different moves and everything happening. So again, I would just love the ability to at least practice against the DLC. I'm not even saying I want to be using the DLC. I just want to be able to get down, like, what's the timing, what's the moveset. Let me just have something of a reference, going against Eddie. I think that's very muchly overlooked when it comes to the DLC characters in Tekken, especially when matchup knowledge is like key to victory. You got to know what most every character's basic strings are. Not every move that they have, but just like at least the basic stuff, so you can actually get your spot in there to be able to do a combo in there. Because right now it's like the game's been out for a little while. And the casuals, of course, are going to start dropping off until we have another sale pop up and everything. For right now, there is some killers online. There is some people that even on low ranks, whether they're Smurfs or not, or they've been just playing on single player and now they're coming over to multiplayer finally. Yeah, there is just like people are just doing a pretty solid amount of combos. And so, again, you're having some fairly decent matches online, and I take nothing away. Like, I love it seeing people not relying on easy combos, not relying on auto combos, if you will. I have however many matches I had in that hour. There was only one match that really felt like I was losing inputs a ton, to the point where it was like, oh, this does not even feel like a matchup at all. And the fact that it was only one match, that is really great seeing that. Street Fighter, there's a lot of times where it's like all of a sudden you can't win in the air Mortal Kombat is like terrible with it right now. Mortal Kombat 1 is absolutely atrocious with the amount of input latency and just inputs not reading the correct way and all that. So Tekken, again, it's doing really well of just like one match out of however many I did. Just the person's connection just was not there. But the online net code and everything, it seems to be running very smooth to the point where it's like, okay, if you know what you're doing, you have pretty well mostly control of the matchup. Even in this match right here, you can tell that there's some advanced range of stuff that the person was doing, and I was like, whoa, okay, there's like a grab and everything. So this was also coming in without even practicing, just grabbing my Wolverine looking Brian and seeing if I could do something in the matchup. And the grabs and everything at Reina, I want to take some of this moveset stuff that this person was doing and figure it out, learn it myself. So again, not trying to cry or whine or complain or anything, but it's just let us be able to practice against every single character in the game. I think that's pretty well balanced. I think everybody would kind of agree with that, outside of like Eddie players that want to destroy everyone. But yeah, overall, Tekken 8, if you're looking for something to get into that is not Street Fighter, and you've seen just how bad Mortal Kombat can be online, especially with all this assist stuff and everything in there, Tekken 8 is actually a pretty solid fighting game going on right now. It's one of the big 3 that's out, and there's just a lot you can do in it. There's a fair amount of stuff you can unlock, a very good story mode in there, and everybody just seems to be having a very good relationship with Tekken 8 where they are really loving it. So I'm going to probably leave in a few more of these matchups, and you can actually just check out and see what I'd end up doing in this. Outside of that, yeah, this has been the online experience of all the data and stats and stuff. So hope you enjoyed the video. Go and watch the rest of this, or don't. It's all good. Whatever you do, make sure and hit the like and the sub button and all that good stuff. It definitely helps out. But anyways, that's going to do it for me on this one. Have fun watching the rest of the matchups, and thanks for tuning in. Thanks for stopping by, and I will see ya next time.
Round 3. Fight. Round 4. Fight. Final round. Fight. You win.
手荒なことをして